and tonight I watched 2005's Saw 2, starring Donnie Wahlberg, Shawnee Smith, Tobin Bell, Eric Knudsen, Frankie G and Glenn Plummer. This one I actually saw at the cinema on its release. After watching the first movie, I was so hyped for this movie, and I'm pretty sure I went to see it with my mum. And the one thing that always stands out about going to watch this movie is the scene where Shawnee Smith's character Amanda falls into the pit of needles. And I just remember my mum going, she was totally freaked out by that. And I grew up with my parents watching horror movies, so to see her so shook, if you will, by that scene was mind-blowing. But yeah, this is a continuation of the first movie. It's written by the original writer Lee Wannell, along with this movie's director Darren Lynn Bousman. And yeah, it tries to be the Aliens of the Saw franchise. You know, it's got a bigger budget, it's got a much bigger cast. But I feel that works against it. I mean, the claustrophobia and tension and paranoia that was present in the original movie is just gone here. There are so many people and so many story threads, and you're following all these different characters that don't really have much depth beyond stereotypical criminal. It's a little distracting. So yeah, it's Jigsaw continuing his work, trying to teach people how to, you know, survival of the fittest and to appreciate their life, which would make sense if, I don't know, in the first movie, and I didn't mention it yesterday, was, you know, he puts a key for the chains in the bath that then gets drained out, so they never have a chance. He kills police officers that aren't corrupt. I mean, Singh in the last movie didn't seem corrupt in any way, and yet he just got killed. In this movie, Jigsaw's like, I've never killed anybody. Sorry, I have to do the voice. I've never killed anybody a day in my life. And you're just like, but you have. Like, you've set up traps and everything that kill people. I mean, he injures police officers, SWAT members in this movie, just trying to get into a building. It's really shallow and really frustrating, and you're like, he could have had not a point. I mean, he's a bad guy, he's a villain, but, you know, they tried to give a reason for what he's doing, and yet his reasons are so disjointed and shallow. Like, just because somebody is a snitch or something doesn't make them a bad person. They're probably, you know, reporting bad people to the police. It's like, why should that person be punished? So yeah, the guidelines for who deserves to go through these tests is ridiculous. And as I pointed out yesterday, I remembered that he was in a car crash. So John finds out he's going to die of cancer, and then he gets driven to the point of suicide, so he drives his cliff, he drives a cliff, he drives his car off a cliff, but because he survives that, he's like, oh, I need to make everybody realise that they could do this, they can survive anything, even though I'm dying. And it blows my mind. The one thing, I started on a thread about it yesterday, and I lost track and forgot where I was going, is that supposedly he had this brain tumour and that, and yet the engineering and all the work that goes into these traps and setting everything up is insane. I don't know how he was going through any treatment or that and able to function to the level that he does. It's so bad. It's like, he's got cancer, and they say the word. Honestly, take a sip every time Jigsaw says cancer in this movie. It's ridiculous. It's like, I got cancer, I got cancer. And I'm like, oh my God. It's so frustrating, and it's annoying because Tobin Bell is excellent in this movie. He's excellent in these, you know, as his character anyway, just menacing, and yeah, I just enjoy his performance, but I feel like he's not given the character that he deserves, if you know what I mean. It's difficult to explain. But yeah, so basically, you've got this Detective Matthews, played by Donnie Wahlberg, who doesn't have custody of his juvenile delinquent son, but he's there to make sure that his son gets out of trouble when he gets in it, so that he doesn't get put in juvie. And then so the son gets kidnapped by what we later find out is Amanda. She's been put into this situation with these other people, but actually she's the inside mole. So it's her new test to take over from Jigsaw. And you're just like, okay. And unfortunately that's what this series carries on with. It's always about setting up a new protege kind of thing, and you're just like, So, because Jigsaw can't function anymore, he sets up he's the one who comes up with all these ideas and that. But, so Amanda's there, screaming her head off. I mean, I don't know how Shawnee Smith had any voice left after making this movie. She's just constantly screaming. So you get a bunch of criminals locked in a house, and they've got to find their way out. There's a couple of antidotes spread through different traps and that, let's be honest, they never have a chance of getting. It's so ridiculous. Oh, fight for your life and that. It's like, yeah, but if the outcome is impossible, what? That makes no sense. But the twist that this movie is so proud of, that it blows my mind that the tech experts didn't realise this. The video feed of this house is playing back. It's not recording. It's not happening at the same time as the Jigsaw and Matthews scenes. And I won't lie, when I watched this the first time in the cinema, it was pretty impressive. It really doesn't hold up with scrutiny and rewatches. And my biggest issue with this movie is, whereas the speed up flashing effect was really well used for the panic and stress and that build up in the first movie, they use that effect way too much. It is so overused in this movie, it's annoying. And yeah, don't watch this if you've got epilepsy, because you will be having seizures left, right and centre. The movie is just like, I don't know what to do now, flash, 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 flash. It's again, much like, say, the character depth and that, it's really shallow, the moves it makes to try and show something fancy or whatever. I like the movie. I do. The whole, last third just really drags, and it's like, reveal, reveal, reveal. This doesn't make sense, but reveal, and you're just like, okay. And then it feels this need to keep going, flashing. Look, it was showing you clues all along. Jigsaw saying, oh, your son is in a safe place, and then he turns up in a safe or stuff like that. It's like, okay, I get it, you're tying it all together, but you're showing too much to go, get it? Bang, 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 round the head. Do you get it yet? This is what we were trying to point at. And you're like, okay, just let me rewatch it and realise, the good thing about movies that have a twist like that, where they're showing the reveal, is when you watch it back on subsequent views, you're like, oh my god, why didn't I see this all along? And yes, you'll get clues at the end that point to what the point was, what was happening. But yeah, this just felt like it was desperate to go, do you get it yet? I enjoy this movie, I do. But I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the first one. And certainly I feel it's too long, and it's too convoluted. It's too proud of itself. And yeah, there's way too many characters that are just there to be red shirts. I think this is better than some of the sequels, off the top of my head. But I do think this is definitely the downfall, of where things would go. But yeah, that was 2005's Saw 2. Not as good as the first, but, if you're after... And as well, this definitely goes into... It's definitely very proud of its traps and stuff and showing them off. The one where she just she just wanders into this room with this glass box on the ceiling that's saying when she puts her hand up, it's got the antidote for this neurotoxin that's going around. She puts her hand up and there's razors keeping her, so when she pulls her hand back down, the razors fold into her arm. And she just like, completely out of it, just like puts the other hand up to put, and you're just like, and it just gets thrown in there. Like, there's no build up to it. It's just, she's just randomly stood there in a hallway. And then for some reason, this door nobody ever walked into, she just like randomly like, and then she goes in this room and puts her hands, and I'm like, did this just get like added in as a throwaway, like, oh, we came up with this, let's quickly put it in the movie. It feels like a load of just ideas just thrown together. But yeah, that's 2005's Saw 2. Not the worst in the franchise, and not the worst. Certainly not the worst torture porn movie. Not the worst, of these movies at all. But it's got a lot of problems. And yeah, the alarm bells are ringing for where they've not gotten the idea of what worked with the first one. They're just trying to go too big and too loud and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with Saw 3. But for now, this is Sketch, signing out.